Okay, today I am going over how to install a Minecraft server on a pre-existing Linux server. This Linux server is actually in a virtual machine, but it'll work bare metal the same way because I did a bridge adapter, so it has its own IP address. So the first thing we need to do is find out what the IP address is. So I'll log in. So I'm logged in, and then just do IP address show. And down there, that line, it's 192.168.1.113. So we don't need this anymore. We need to leave it running, of course, but we don't need this. So I'll exit, and I'll minimize this. And then over here I have the steps. I went through this, practice, make sure that there are no problems. And I need the terminal. So this is the terminal from the computer I'm using right now. I'm going to SSH into the server, which is this command right here, SSH, and then the name of the profile you want to log into on the server and then the IP address. I'll ask you for the password. First time you log in, I'll give you a warning about whether you want to access it or not, and you have to type yes if you want to. So now I'm logged into the server again, but this time through the terminal through SSH. And first, we want to install UFW, which is an easy firewall for that Ubuntu uses. So even though I'm on Debian Buster right here, UFW is in the repositories. So first sudo and then space minus to get into root. If you're on Ubuntu server, then you could just do sudo, or you could do that this way. And then apt install UFW. And there it is. Then we want to make sure that we could continue to access this server while we have a SSH into it, secure shell into it. So I guess we could do UFW status, and it's inactive. So now we give it the command to allow SSH, which is on port 22, and this is my networks, and I don't want to expose my server to the internet. If you want to have it exposed to the internet, then you would do UFW allow 22, and that's it for the command to allow secure shell from anywhere. And of course you'd have to have the port forwarding on the router and all that set up, but we'll get into part of that later. Right now I don't want to expose my server to the internet because everybody who finds it will try to brute force it. And if you do put it on the internet, you probably want to put something like fail to ban or some other security features or apps on it. So to allow it only from my network, I already know what my network is. 192.168.1.0 and /24. So this is the IP range right here, and then this would be what individual computers would get, like for example 113, which is the address of the server, and then to any port 22. Oh, and I left out from. UFW allow from 192.168.10/24 to any port 22. This one should work. Okay. Now for the Minecraft, we want to allow Minecraft to be accessed. So UFW allow 25.565, which is the default port for Minecraft. If you want to change your port, then you have to change it on the firewall too. Okay, so now we can enable it. And it may disrupt existing SSH connections. That's why I already opened the port for it. So yes. And now it's active, and I can check status. And that's it for the firewall. We see that it's on, it's working, and it has the right ports open. So next thing, if you're going to run a Minecraft server and access it through the secure shell, easiest way to go about it, instead of leaving a terminal open the whole time that you play, is to, after you give it the command to start, is to install a program called Screen. And this allows you to open the Minecraft app, run it in terminal, and then close the terminal without closing the Minecraft. So apt install Screen. And then once Screen is installed, then you'll do Screen, and then the command, and then you'd have it. And then Control-AD to close the screen. So we have Screen installed. Now we need to look at the Java. So we'll see what's installed, which should be nothing, because it's a fresh installation. And there's no Java. Now, Minecraft uses, as of this point, which is 1.13.2, it uses Java 8. But if you look at the repositories for Debian Buster, which this is on, apt-cache search openjdk-8. And it's coming up with LibreOffice for some reason, because it uses that, I guess, and an NVIDIA package. I don't know if I want to use that. I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to use openjdk. If openjdk can install, then it's adequate for running a Minecraft server. If you maybe Oracle Java is a little bit better. And there's a couple ways to do it. There's a PPA from Web Update. I can't see that very well. From Web Update, and you could Google it or search, just use your preferred search engine, or you can install it directly from the website. So you find the Oracle Java website, download the Java 64-bit in this case, and then we can transfer the Java. So I need to go to my downloads and look through all my downloads for Java, this right here. And we need to transfer it over to the server. You can use SFTP through terminal, but you don't need to. Just copy, and this is KDE right here that I'm using. You go to Network, then right click Network up there, Edit, SFTP : / and then the IP address. And then it'll ask me for, I've already accessed it today, so it's in my home folder, so I'll just paste it. Normally, if it's the first time that you've accessed it, then it'll ask you for the, since the computer had restarted, then it'll ask you for the login credentials. So, back in the terminal, just make sure it transferred. Go into my home folder. Oh, CD, sorry, making mistakes. ls, and there it is. And we'll deal with the server jar later. Okay, so we've got this step, transfer the Java. Now we need to be in root for this, unless you install, if you don't have root, you can install Java locally, but it won't work for every profile. And this one, I'm going to use it globally. So cd user / user, and then list. There's no Java there, so make dir Java, and then we're going to move and put the full path so it knows where to look. JRE, and then tab it. If it's there, it'll show up. So you don't have to type the whole thing, and then we'll do / user as a destination Java /. Okay, then let's go check this out. Make sure it's there, and there it is. So now that we're in the directory, we're going to unzip it. tar zxvf, and type JRE, then tab, there it goes. And now it's unzipping right now. Now Java's installed, but if you do Java version, it's not going to know that Java's installed. So what we have to do is tell the computer update - alternatives, then -- install, and need to give it the path that it wants to install it to, and Java, and then the path to the actual file. And this time we'll have to type out the whole thing and make sure we get it right. Terminal is case sensitive. And then we have to give a priority number. We'll just say 1 here. Okay. And now we'll check Java again. And I did something wrong. I didn't pay attention. Oh, I forgot a slash. Okay, try again. I should have looked at for the error message first time. Now it's telling me that it's updated. And there you go, Java minus version, and it's showing that's the version of Java it is, which is currently 1.8.0 _211. Okay, and now if you already have Java installed and you want to update to the newer version, tell it to default to it, then this right here, this part that I'm highlighting, is what you would enter in next. But I haven't had a Java on this before, so I don't need that. Now we're ready for Minecraft, installing Minecraft, because we have Java, we have UFW, we have screen. So we'll exit root, and that to exit su minus is exit, and we're still on the server here. So we'll do ls There's nothing there. Make dir Minecraft. This is my home directory. ls, there it is. And now we can transfer the server, and we'll do the 1.13 jar. And go back to network and edit. If you're going to do this a lot, then you might want to bookmark the address so you don't have to type it in each time you go back to it. There's Minecraft. So open that up, paste the file, and it's pasted. Okay, so let's look at this. cd Minecraft ls. Now it has to be in the name format server.jar unless you change other things too, and I just find it easier just to rename it. It should be, if it's the only Minecraft server jar that you've downloaded, then it'll just be server.jar already. If you've downloaded more than one, it'll be server parentheses 1, 2, whatever, and then .jar. So this is what we want to name it to. There we go. Now there's a command that we can use each time, and it's this command right here, Java, then since it's a 64-bit, space minus D64 space, and then this is the maximum Java memory, 3 gigabytes in this case, because I've only allocated 4 gigabytes to that server, and then the smallest bit that, or not bit, but the smallest section or whatever, I can't remember the right term, but the smallest amount of RAM that I can use is minus XMS 512M. And remember, this has to be in the correct capital and lowercase letters or it won't work. The minus jar, then the name of the file, and no GUI. But I don't want to type that out and memorize it, so we'll use nano here and make a script, and we'll type it out this one time. If you have more memory available, then you could use like 4 gigabytes of for Max or whatever. Okay, so make sure that's right. Looks right. So Control X to exit. Save, yes. Y. And then, yes, that's the name I want. And let's look at this again. There's our file. So we do dot slash start .sh. And we have a problem. That's that because it doesn't have the permissions that for some reason I didn't get into the right permissions, but that's easy. ls minus l, that'll tell you who owns it, what the permissions are, and what we're going to do is chmod 775 server.jar. That might be 2 lax, but it'll work. And you can see what 775 does. It gives it more permissions. Now we can try this again. And it's still maybe server. Oh, yeah. I wasn't thinking it was start that I needed to. I changed permissions on the wrong file. Okay. And now it should work. But it's going to stop as it starts creating it because you need to agree to the end user agreement right here, this error. So we go back, list, ls, and you see EULA text is the first one. So we'll do nano EULA txt, and it has a little thing saying that by changing it to true, you are agreeing to their user agreement. So we'll say true. And Control X to close it, Y for yes, and use the name. And now we can start the server. So this time we'll do screen. We'll use screen and then the script. And it'll take a moment for it to process. And it has to make a world. So it's going to be a little bit longer for the first time. Okay, so the world is loaded. And I want to test it out. So I'll go to 1.13 because that's the version, the server version that we installed, and load Minecraft. And then we'll use direct connect to connect to the once it loads. Then we can use direct connect to connect to this server here. Okay, so multiplayer, direct connect. I've already put the address in. Join server. And here it's showing that I joined the game and stuff. And I'm in a desert biome. And this is the Minecraft server. If you're just going to play on your local network, then this is all you have to do. It's accessible to any computer on your network. However, if you want your friends to play also, then we have more stuff to do if you want it available to the internet. So we'll here's the terminal here. We don't need to keep track of what's going on. So Control A, D, and A and then D while holding the control down, and it detaches from that process. If you want to return to it, screen -R for resume, and there it is again. So Control A, D, and let's see, we need to check the port forwarding on the modem. So we'll open up Firefox here. Take a minute. And the modem, in my case, is that. It's going to vary for various people. Okay, and then you go into, I'm in the modem, go into advanced setup, and you can look at various things in here like the internet settings, and you check your firewalls and stuff. Like here's the firewall, but what we're looking for is port forwarding. There it is, port forwarding, and I already have it set up. So you just put in the IP address of the computer, of the server, the protocols, the port, and then I don't want it remote defined, so put no there, and that's it. So right here it would be the address, and then the port, the protocol, and remote port. You can define that too, but that's just enough. Apply. So we'll log out of that. And we'll go into, what if you have a dynamic IP address? For that I need to show, oh no, I'm not going to show my internet address on the internet, even though it's dynamic. Oh no, nah. So if you have a static IP address from your internet service provider, then you don't need to do this step. If you have a dynamic port forwarding program already set up on your modem, you could use that. But if you don't, rather than telling your friends what IP address to use each time the address changes, you could just register at a place like no IP, and I'll even open it up. noip.com, and then you just put in a whatever you want, and then select which of these you want, and sign up and put your information, and it'll give you a host name. And then you just tell your friends the host name, like the server blah 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 .sites.net in this case, and then this dynamic update program client will do the rest for you. It'll every time you restart your computer, or it'll check every 30 minutes or so if the IP address has changed, and then you can it will automatically update the no IP as to your current IP address, so that when your friends want to connect to your website or your Minecraft server or whatever, they can, just by entering the host name. Now, for this, what they do is they have a compressed file, and you have to install a few things, like make in GCC, because you have to build it from source. So apt install, these are, you could call them prerequisites if you want, GCC and make, and I wasn't en route. So su minus, or you could do sudo if you're in Ubuntu, of course, or have sudo installed. Now I can do apt install GCC and make, and then I'll say yes, and it'll take a minute. Okay, so it's installed the GCC and make program so that you can build from source. No IP uses port 8245, so you need to allow 8245 through UFW, and then change directory to where you're going to install it. And then type in or cut and paste. Well, for you, unless you find the instructions somewhere, it'll be cutting and pasting. Typing in wget, the IP address of the file. And it's got the file. Now we need to decompress it. Okay, it's decompressed, and now we're going to look at this. You can remove the compressed file now if you want, or you could just leave it. But we're going to change directory into the folder or directory that got created. And I forgot to mention make install. So it's built it from source, and it wants the email address for no IP that you used, and then it'll ask for the password that you used to create the no IP site, or to create your host name, and then it'll ask a few other questions that you have to input for the configuration file. But I'll Control C because I don't want to put my personal information on the internet. And if you ever want to start it, no IP, and then 2, and it's saying there's no configuration file because I skipped the configuration. If you want to redo the configuration file, it's no IP minus C. And there's the asking for the email again. And if you ever want to look at what the status of no IP is, then that's the command, no IP 2 minus S. Okay, there's also a README. So nano README first. And it'll give you all kinds of information and instructions on how to make and build it, and commands to use, and even how to automatically start it. Because the way I've shown you, every time you start up the server or restart it, you have to enter no IP2 and root to start the dynamic IP address update client, which is fine for me. But if you want make it more automatic, here's the instructions and the README, and that's it. You should be able to give the IP. If you've gone this far, you should be able to play Minecraft over the internet on your own server. You should be able to have your friends play it over the internet on your own server. If you're on the same network, then you need to put the network address. But if you're over on a separate network away from home, then you could use the host name that you registered. And looks like I got everything. So the last 2 steps I went over, checking port forwarding and no IP2 again, that's just for playing over the internet. If you just want to play over your network, then you don't have to do the last 2 steps. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.